Hello everyone, welcome to Bajirao IAS Academy. We have been discussing previous year ethics questions. In today's session, we will discuss few ethics questions. The first question that we are going to start with is related to India-Pakistan relations. We all know that recently Pakistan has been going through a financial crisis or an economic crisis. In this context, should India generous enough to help Pakistan? India should come forward and help Pakistan. What is your opinion in this regard? When you write this answer, first briefly write about the economic crisis Pakistan has been facing right now. We all know that Pakistan has been facing one of the severe economic crisis. The inflation rate in Pakistan is currently hovering around 30%. Okay, so the inflation rate is around 30%. So this is considered as one of the highest levels of inflation. Okay, so in this context, the people of Pakistan have been facing a lot of challenges, even when it comes to accessing basic necessities such as food and fuel. So in this backdrop, recently the rupee price, the Pakistani rupee price has also declined to around 30% of the value of US dollar. So in last year, Pakistani rupee has declined to over 30%, a depreciation of over 30% when it compares to US dollar. However, so one particular thing which has been signifying the economic crisis in Pakistan is moving bombs. So you may have come across this term moving bombs if you're regularly following news. So what are these moving bombs? So because of the economic crisis in Pakistan, so there's a shortage of cylinders. So we all know that cylinders are used to refill the LPG. Now, because of the shortage of these LPG cylinders, the people of Pakistan have been filling the LPG into a plastic bags. So this bag is called as moving bombs. In fact, this symbolizes Pakistan's LNG crisis, and this has led to a dangerous bag gas trade in Pakistan. So, however, in order to further amplify the situation, Pakistan has even failed to get the financial assistance or the bailout package from the International Monetary Fund. So Pakistan has tried a lot to get a bailout package from the International Monetary Fund. So however, it was failed to implement the required reforms. So we all know that in order to get any package, any bailout package from the International Monetary Fund, it puts certain conditionalities, certain reforms. So in this context, Pakistan has failed to implement those reforms. So apart from that, the country's total public debt has grown to around 250 billion US dollars. So as of now, country's total US dollars have grown to 250 billion US dollars. So this is a huge amount of public debt on Pakistan. So this is further amplified by the shortage of foreign exchange reserves. They also have a limited foreign exchange reserves. So the total foreign exchange reserves US dollar 3 billion. So what about India's forex reserves? So India had around 700 billion US dollars in forex. Okay, so therefore US dollars, just 3 billion US dollars is much lesser. So because we need forex to import goods and services, so when we do not have adequate forex reserves, then that severely constrains our capacity to import the essential items. So along with the crisis, recently we have seen several disasters in Pakistan, whether it is earthquake, severe floods and the rainfall. So that led to more worsening of the condition in Pakistan, whether it is economic, social and even in all terms. So that has led to adding fuel to the existing fire and making economy more and more vulnerable. Now, apart from that, what are the other challenges Pakistan is currently facing. So it has been facing a number of challenges apart from the current economic crisis. So one such crisis is the political roller coaster, because earlier the Imran Khan party, Tehreek-e-Insaf, so that party was in power and it lost majority eventually, and the other party was formed, the government. The Nawaz Sharif party has formed the government. However, Pakistani establishment has also been trying to make a deeper inroads into the political arena. So it wanted to control whole political sphere, and that is what making India's engagement with Pakistan more difficult. So also we have another problem, that is rise of Taliban. So recently, after the capturing of Afghanistan by Taliban, in fact, there was a rise in violence in Pakistan, rise in terrorist attacks on Pakistan. And in fact, the border conflicts with the Taliban has also made the position of Pakistan more vulnerable. So we all know that the China-Pakistan economic corridor, which is passing through our Pakistan occupied Kashmir along with Pakistan. So there has been a growing resentment against China about this China-Pakistan economic corridor in Pakistan. So why? Because even though the projects, the infrastructure projects are implemented in Pakistan, but local employment, the capacity of providing local employment is very low. And after that, in fact, China's debt trap diplomacy is one way responsible for the economic crisis in Pakistan, and even Sri Lanka like countries. This has further worsened the existing precarious condition. So all these factors have been leading to resentment, the growing resentment against China. So especially about China-Pakistan economic corridor. So in this context, what can India do in this particular situation? So what should be the India's approach? Should India generously help Pakistan in this particular aspect? So what experts say is that victims of terrorism, India is of course a victim of terrorism. So victims of terrorism do not sit together with the perpetrators of terrorism, because Pakistan has been using terrorism as a foreign policy tool against India. So it has been promoting cross-border terrorism. So therefore, we cannot sit with the perpetrators of terrorism. And secondly, India can think of giving a chance to Pakistan. Okay, so but there should be a condition. The condition should be Pakistan should stop terrorism and Pakistan should resolve the Kashmir issue, that is the Pakistan occupied Kashmir, because it is our sovereign territory. We have all the rights over the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So in this respect, India can go for talks with Pakistan, India can help Pakistan, but it should be subjected to Pakistan making efforts to stop terrorism, particularly the cross-border terrorism, and also resolving the Kashmir issue. So after that, India can also use various diplomatic measures, so the diplomatic leverage. So these diplomatic measures can isolate Pakistan internationally. So in fact, India has been following the policy where it has been trying to isolate Pakistan internationally. So it has been using a wide variety of diplomatic means. For example, Pakistan was in grey list in Financial Action Task Force. So that is because that was because mainly because of India's efforts to isolate Pakistan, exposing its links with the terrorism and its alleged human rights violations. So the present crisis in Pakistan, in fact, have shown that the country is country is not able to govern itself. The country is failed to govern itself. So in this context, India can take it as an advantage. Okay, so India can take it as an advantage, and it can pursue its foreign policy goals. For example, Pakistan can be compelled to change its behavior on terrorism, and the attempts of nuclear proliferation, because the nuclear proliferation is a significant threat not just for India but also for the larger region. So in this context, it is very important to get some benefit with respect to curtailing terrorism by the Pakistan and also nuclear proliferation. So amid this crisis, India must prioritize the border security. So in this context, it is very important that India should prioritize the security at the border areas. And military preparedness should also be robust so that it can contain insurgencies, cross-border aggression and provocation from Pakistan that has been emanating from Pakistan. So when you write the conclusion for this answer, so you can just mention about Pakistan need to stop cross-border terrorism for a regional stability, for India to maintain good relations with this country. If Pakistan at all looking for help from India, it should stop terrorism, the cross-border terrorism, and supporting terrorist elements, radicalization in their country. So it should stop all these things. Okay. However, when you write a conclusion, the Pakistan's establishment has supported anti-India terrorist organizations. Okay, or it has been supporting anti-India terrorist organizations, terrorist groups. So it has been promoting Islamic fundamentalism, radicalization of youth in Jammu and Kashmir. So therefore, we cannot afford Pakistan completely going into the influence of going under the influence of the Islamist, extremist Islamists. Okay, so because that would be further aggravate the existing situation. So in this context, India must make the efforts to stabilize the conditions in Pakistan. So yes, there's no doubt that Pakistan has been facing economic crisis. So Pakistan has also suffered with recent disasters. So in this context, India can generously help Pakistan, but it should be subjected to Pakistan taking measures to counter terrorism and also preventing the radicalization of youth and significant concessions on nuclear proliferation by the Pakistan. Okay, so this is what this answer is all about. So the next question that we are going to discuss is about Swami Vivekananda. So what he said? So he said that the more we come out and do the good things to others, the more our hearts will be purified and God will be in them. So it essentially implies that Manava Seva is Madhava Seva. So what does this mean? Service to a fellow human is service to God. So this is what has been held by Swami Vivekananda. So he emphasizes that we should help others, we should do good things for others in order to create a more compassionate, harmonious and happiest society. So the more we come out and do good things to others, the more our hearts will be purified and God will be within them. So this is what he has been saying. Now, when you write the introduction for this question, so you just introduce what he said. So, or you can just introduce about Swami Vivekananda. So Swami Vivekananda is a major figure during the modern times, or he played a crucial role in Indian Renaissance movement, socio-religious reform movement. So he is very famous for the revival of Hinduism in India. So what does this mean? Earlier Hinduism also exists, but the problem is old customs and traditions. So they are derogatory to the certain sections. For example, caste discrimination, so and gender inequality, treating women as a secondary citizen. So all these practices were associated with Hinduism. So he is known for the revival of Hinduism because he emphasized on monotheism. So essential oneness of all religions. So because he is rightly credited with the tag revival of Hinduism in India. So he was a philosopher, a monk and also a teacher. So along with his contributions in the education, he is also well known for empowering Indian youth. So he played a very instrumental role in influencing, motivating Indian youth. So the youth of India greatly impacted by the teachings on nationalism, education, and also spirituality aspect. So in all these aspects, he influenced the youth. He motivated the youth with his teachings on nationalism, education, and spirituality. So what are the essential requirements for service to our fellow human beings, to do service, to do good things to our fellow human beings? So one is selflessness. So selflessness refers to the quality or state of being concerned more with the needs and well-being of others than one's own. So we are not thinking about ourselves, rather we are thinking about our fellow human beings, our fellow individuals. So we are ready to help them, we are ready to do good things for them. So this shows the value of selflessness and also the value of empathy and compassion. So this is what he has been emphasizing upon. So selflessness can manifest itself in many different ways. So how? For example, kindness, generosity, patriotism, and altruism. Okay, so in all those acts, it can be reflected. So it is often associated, the value of selflessness is often associated with the values of empathy, compassion, and sense of social responsibility. So in this respect, selflessness signifies serving public interest and keeping it above the self-interest. So we are keeping others' interest over our self-interest. So this is what the selflessness means. Through the value of selflessness, we can do good things for others. And that is what envisioned by Swami Vivekananda. So selflessness, it actually means placing less importance on yourself than on others. Okay, so we actually place less importance. So we can write about Mahatma Gandhi, we can write about Nelson Mandela, because those are the leaders who have placed the larger public interest above their own interest. Because Gandhi is rightly called as half-naked man. And in fact, Nelson Mandela spent around 27 years of jail term simply for the liberation, for the better living standards of others. So in this respect, what does service to others actually means? For example, when we attend a distressed or needy individual, so that is what is called as service, or it is called as a divine service. And in fact, a service to God can be best done by service to man. So that means Manava Seva is Madhava Seva. So in ethics, this term is a very significant term. So this is one of the very important terms. So because in contemporary times also, the term Manava Seva is Madhava Seva is very much relevant. So if we talk about service to others, okay, so service in Hindi or Sanskrit is called as Seva. So it broadly means material service or doing good things in terms of providing physical or mental, spiritual comforts. So what does this material seva consist? So material seva means material aspects, providing material aspects to others, doing good things to others through material means. For example, donation of a money, food, clothes. So they can be provided for the people who are distressed and needy. So what does physical seva means? So physical seva means doing physical work for the benefit of the larger community. So this can be categorized as physical work. So however, the mental and the spiritual service includes sending good wishes. So even if we cannot do the material things, or we cannot do the other aspects, for example physical things, but we can give mental and spiritual service, okay, so through which we can send good wishes and vibrations to others, and making sincere prayers for their welfare. Okay, so this is exalted type of service because it is done silently without the beneficiary's knowledge. The spiritual service or the mental service can also actually be done without the knowledge of the beneficiary. Okay, so there's no scope for ego or show into this. So however, it never goes unnoticed by the Supreme. So those who believe in God, so they can consider as Supreme, so they can consider God as Supreme. However, everything is recognized or noticed by the Supreme, because for the giver himself becomes the receiver of abundant blessings. So when we give something, we also receive one thing or the other, one way or the other way, something else. So this is basic law of the universe that is called as law of karma. So whatever you send out, and it returns to you in manifold. So Indian traditional values also propounds the same value or the same thing. So in this context, seva has two basic characteristics. So service has two basic characteristics. So what are they? So they are compassion and willingness to sacrifice oneself. So when we talk about compassion, so compassion actually means we are understanding someone else's problems, and we are doing something to get them out of this problem. So that is compassion, and willingness to sacrifice our own self-interest or the self-benefit for the benefit of others. So therefore, in this context, one must engage in loving service to family members and prefer for the wider service that awaits outside. So we the service is not just be limited to the family, but it should also be extended outside the family as well. So man is very often known as a social animal because he has a wider interactions within a family and outside the family, even in his professional career. So therefore, no doubt man is a social animal who owes a debt to the society. So therefore, in this context, so he has to help his fellow human beings in the society. So the spiritual journey lies in following the principles like compassion, sympathy, mutual help, and service. So they are at the root of providing or serving the humanity. Okay, so the attitude that resembles all these values is very important. Okay, so even the tiniest, smallest work is also the flower placed at the feet of the God. So therefore, finding our happiness in the happiness of others, or promoting the welfare of the others in any capacity, whether small or large, quantitative or qualitative, is considered as seva. Okay, so this will be done quietly without much physical activity. Okay, for example, mental activity or the physical activity, and even the spiritual activity. So that is part of the serving others or providing services to others. For seva to qualify as a spiritual sadhana, it should spring out of love. Okay, so it should generate out of love. Okay, and the motive should also be pure in this respect. So generally we should not serve others just for the sake of our own superiority, or to just showing off ourselves to others. So rather we have to serve others because of the sharing of love, kindness, empathy, compassion, and sympathy. So that is the essence of getting success and also getting the grace of God. So this is the essence of doing everything. So therefore, it rightly said that Manava Seva is Madhava Seva. Now after that, the next question that we are going to discuss is about caste and community. Okay, so right, Seva done in a reluctant or disinterested way. Conclusion, when you're writing conclusion, so you can write this. Seva done in a reluctant and disinterested way is vain. So there's no use of the seva which is done in a reluctant and disinterested manner. So however, seva should give satisfaction to one's own conscience. So whenever we are doing something, it should satisfy our own conscience, right? So, and satisfaction to the doer, whoever do the service, it provides satisfaction to the doer, and it should also provide relief to the recipient of the service. So in this way, seva will generate feeling of joy and deep satisfaction among the people. Okay, so this is how you can conclude this answer. So the next question that we are going to discuss is about the caste, and what Vallabhbhai Patel, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel has held about caste and community is that caste and community will rapidly disappear. So we have to speedily forget all these things, and such boundaries hamper our growth. So he says that the caste, the role of caste and community in the society will speedily disappear over a period of time, particularly in India. So therefore we need to forget all these divisions and these boundaries which are created, for example, regionalism, communalism, caste and community. So they hamper our collective growth. So therefore, in this respect, we need to, we need not take into consideration caste, community, or religious or regional feelings. Okay, because they are boundaries, they are considered as divisions. So just briefly introduce Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So we all know that Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel is known as the Iron Man of India. So he is called as Iron Man of India, and he was the first Deputy Prime Minister of India as well. So if you look at Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel's role, we all know how he has integrated all the princely states. So around 500, near about 500 princely states were integrated. So because of this reason, he is known as a symbol of unity, symbol of integration. So he rightly identified the divisive factors in our society, the caste, community, ethnicity, religion. So all these factors have been identified by the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So if you look at Indian caste system, so Indian caste system is a hierarchical system. At the bottom are Shudras, followed by Vaishyas, Kshatriyas and Brahmins. Okay, so this is strictly based on birth. Now in this context, we need to understand the characteristics of the caste system in India. So what are the basic characteristics of caste system in India? So based on the caste system, the society is divided. Okay, it is divided into different segments. So it means the society has seen the social stratification. So, and it is largely based on the caste system. Okay, so membership to a caste group is acquired by birth, based on people. So based on birth as well, the people are ranked in this hierarchical setup. Now apart from that, we should also talk about hierarchy. So it indicates that various castes are categorized according to the purity and impurity of occupations. For example, Shudras were considered as impure, Brahmins were considered as pure caste. Okay, so there's a different hierarchy within the caste system. So based on the hierarchy, different communities are treated differently. So if you look at ladder, so and arrange all the castes in a ladder, so the lower caste Shudras are ranked at the bottom, and higher varnas or the higher castes such as Kshatriyas and Brahmins are ranked at the top of the ladder. So this is how the hierarchy has been arranged. So after that, we should also talk about the endogamy. So what is this endogamy means? So endogamy is also strictly based on the caste system. So if you belong to a particular caste, then you are allowed to marry a man or a woman from a same caste. So you are not allowed to marry a person from the other caste. So this is called as endogamy, and this was criticized by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar because it has been perpetrating the caste system, entrenching the caste system into the Indian society. So now, in fact, Indian society still practices endogamy. Okay, so the particular caste have to marry within their own caste only. So in fact, the intercaste marriages are strictly prohibited based on the caste system. However, if you look at the recent, recent scenarios or the contemporary Indian society, there has been an increase in the intercaste marriages because of increasing education levels, because women having access to a better employment, and change in the mindset of the parents and the society, that has led to increasing intercaste marriages. And the other major feature of the caste system is untouchability. Okay, so untouchability is practiced against Shudras or the lower caste groups. So they are considered as impure and polluted. So it is practiced as a social custom. Even in fact, several tribals or the people from lower caste are still not allowed into the temples. And in several villages, people from the lower caste are not allowed to become a sarpanch or the members of the panchayat. So therefore, untouchability is also deeply entrenched into the Indian society. So it is very often associated with the caste system, because the untouchables, or those who belonging to the lower caste groups, were deemed impure or polluted. So this is what the untouchability is all about. So in fact, Indian Constitution after independence has included Article 17 as part of the fundamental rights. So this is related to abolition of untouchability. Okay, so this is all about abolition of untouchability. So the other inhuman practice that is associated with the caste system is manual scavenging. Now, manual scavenging is very often associated with the people from the lower caste. Okay, so only lower caste groups or people from the lower caste groups can only do the manual scavenging. So it is eventually become a caste-based occupation. So that basically involves the removal of untreated human excreta from bucket toilets or pit latrines. So it is just a removal of untreated human excreta from the the toilet or pit tanks. So however, if you look at the progressive legislation that has brought to abolish the manual scavenging, the Prohibition of Employment as Manual Scavengers and the Rehabilitation Act 2013 was passed. So it is to ensure that the manual scavenging is prohibited, and people who have been engaged in the manual scavenging are provided adequate skills, okay, so that their livelihoods can be secured and they can live a dignified and decent life as envisioned by Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. So in fact, the caste system has also promoting caste-based violence in India. For example, a couple who have gone for intercaste marriage, who eloped and they have an intercaste marriage. So there are panchayats like Ka panchayats. So they deliver justice and even threaten the life of, even deliver judgments that threat the life of the couple. Okay, so the caste-based violence is widely prevalent in several parts of our country. So that is particularly associated with the intercaste marriages, the bonded labor, child labor, and other things. So this caste-based violence is particularly because of the land rights of Dalits, freedom of expression for them, access to justice and access to education. They lack access to justice and even access to education. So all these factors have been further entrenching the violence against the people. So what could be the threats for India's unity? So in this respect, there are few threats. For example, regionalism, caste, communalism. They create divisions in the society. So they divide the society. So if you look at regionalism, regionalism highlights the interests of a particular region or regions over the national interest. So we are not prioritizing our national interest, rather we are prioritizing our regional interest. So that creates divisions, and this is what feared by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, because it continuously poses regular challenges in the form of communalism and also the communal violence. So apart from that, there are also divisive politics which are very often being paid. Okay, so a divisive politics to mobilize voters on the lines of caste and community religion. So this political manipulation has projected one religion against the other. So that has resulted in communal rights, mutual distrust, and disintegration of the Indian society as well as the country as a whole. So in fact, there's a huge ethnic diversity also in India, and this ethnic differentiation and nativism will also create divisions within Indian society. So that is not desirable for us, because recently we are experiencing an ethnic conflict between the minority Kukis and the majority Meiteis in the state of Manipur. We have experienced the amount of violence that has been taking place in Manipur. So therefore, ethnic differentiation further leads to a large scale violence, and it threatens the peace and security in the region and entire nation as a whole. Okay, so however, the problem with these ethnic conflicts is that so they very often accompany with the human rights violations such as genocide, crimes against humanity, crimes against women, children, and that led to economic decline, state failure, and other environmental problems, along with the refugee inflows. So these are the threats which are being associated with various factors. Okay, so they are caste, religion, community, region. So apart from that, there is also an inter-religious conflict. So inter-religious conflict not only hamper the relations between two communities, because it spreads fear and mistrust. For example, if there are two religions and there's lack of tolerance, and that will lead to the violence. Okay, so that leads to the violence between these two communities, these two religions, and that will further lead to the spreading of fear and mistrust. So but it also hinders the secular fabric of our country. For example, the Hindu-Sikh conflict in Punjab, and even the religious rights over Babri Masjid, Ram Mandir, and even Gujarat rights. So all these you can write as an examples. Now when you write the conclusion, you just emphasize on the unity and diversity of the nation as well as the integrity of the nation. So the unity in diversity is disturbed in Indian society because some communal forces, the caste, ethnicity, community, and other factors. It is mainly because of the vested interest of these communities. So these communities have some sort of a vested interest. So because of this reason, India's unity and integrity, unity and diversity has been disturbed. So however, India has the strength to overcome the communal violences, religious threats, or the differences among different regions. So India as a whole have this strength. The Constitution as a consensus document has provided for this strength. So therefore, in this context, every Indian must lift their selves or oneself up above these narrow challenges, and they should work for the unity and integrity of the nation. So the common values of democracy, equality and justice as defined in the constitution that we share and cherish as a part of the value system of Indian society and India's strength. So we have a values like democracy, equality, justice. They were rightly recognized in Indian constitution. Okay, so that we share and cherish as part of our value system. Okay, so that is the essence of India's overall strength. So in this way you can conclude this answer. And that's it for today. And if you like the video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also hit the like button in our video. So thank you so much. We will meet with the next class.